Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Faith and Love with Brilliant. To all our subscribers and viewers, God bless you. And please do not forget to share and like the videos that we drop on this platform in order to encourage somebody to be a part of this project. Today, we're going to be continuing on our series on feminism. We'll talk today on male privileges, male patriarchism, and the power of childbearing. In our society today, we have a lot of angry women that wage this war, unnecessary war, against men because somehow they feel the men are favored in the society more than they are. They feel there is this beautiful roles that can be occupied by anybody except for a man. You see them on the internet, you see them in their books, you see them in the universities and the libraries. They write extensively on the privileges given to men. Men are the ones sent to make bills, men are the ones that rule, men are the ones that are the head of the government, the head of the military, the head of several departments and institutions that governs our daily life. These women have an issue about the fact that they are not given equal opportunity like these men to make decisions. Of course, we feel their pain. We feel their pain. But feeling their pain does not mean we align with the idea that there is some sort of male supremacy and male patriarchism and male supremacy. If we take ourselves back into the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth and made the Garden of Eden for Adam to take charge of, at the point at which Adam was designated to take care of that garden, there was no woman. It was later on that God realized that, okay, it is not good for a man to be alone. Let him bring him an helper that will assist him in the business. And a helper was brought. So from the time everything was created, the helper was the woman and the one in charge was the man. It is rather unfortunate that a group of people called feminists decided to wage a war, revolt against the principles that God himself laid down. I'm taking this opportunity to tell you that if you call yourself a feminist and you have decided that your job is to fight against male patriarchism and male supremacy and male this and male that, know that that is a direct war you are waging against God. And let me tell you, there is nobody that has ever fought against God that has won. There are a lot of testimonies and stories of people who tried. Even the devil himself tried and he didn't succeed. So I don't think you're going to succeed. Feminism, therefore, is a kind of war waged against the principle not established by us, not established or determined by the society, but determined by God himself. Thanks to the shortcomings of man, God did not just determine these principles, he established rules and designated responsibilities. A man's responsibility was to cater for the garden, was to labor and fend for his family, which means if we are going to the work field, it is a man's place, it is a man's world, and you cannot come into somebody's world and think you're going to dominate. Feminists believe in the idea that what a man can do, a woman can do, and even much more better. That is a lie. That is an illusion. What a man can do, a woman can't do. And what a woman can do, a man can't do. That is how the principle was kept. So the theory of male patriarchism and male supremacy and male domination and male privileges is a direct revolt and riot against the creator of the universe. It's a direct revolt and riot against the maker of the heaven and earth. We have just been given a portion of what was placed on the table, not the entire table. And from the time a woman was formulated, you were formulated to be a helper, which means you were formulated to occupy the second place and not the primary place. So in the work field and in the military and in the government and in the home and in every other thing, the woman's place is the second place. You're not second because you're weaker. You're not second because you're less privileged. You're second because the responsibility you're supposed to hold is a responsibility of filling in the gaps. The responsibility of helping the man to cover the field. The responsibility of fitting in the puzzles where the man has shortcomings. And I don't think that is a responsibility that we should toy with. I don't think that is a second place. That is a place by the side. It is the interpretation, the misinterpretation of atheists and of those that believe that there is no God, and of those that believe that the Bible was written as a book of slavery. They have misinterpreted everything, and they have promoted the agenda of male supremacy and male patriarchy and male domination and male this, and also the agenda that women are relegated to the background. The division was simple. The woman, you shall have pains in childbearing. That was God giving the woman the role, her own role. I don't think men have come to the space of women to take over their role of childbearing. They have tried, but it didn't work because God uniquely, in his wisdom, in his wholesomeness, as the creator of heaven and earth, he made that role specifically for a woman. So for you to call yourself, I am a gay woman, I am not a straight man, and all those things, that's another form of rebellion. So your role as a woman, as the feminine part of the male, was childbearing. In 2022, one of your popular celebrities, Toke Makinwa, posted on her X handle when she talked about not being a feminist, but just having an issue with male patriarchism. The use of English language. We, celebrities, they say a lot of things that they actually do not understand. Probably she saw it in a book somewhere and she found the need of airing it. It was a point of view. For her, it is a point of view. But in reality, revolting against what we call male patriarchism is just another theory of atheists to make us feel that we are in the second place. And when they write it in these books, as Christians, it's our responsibility to filter knowledge. If you are quite knowledgeable with the word of God, you'll be able to determine which knowledge is right and which one is wrong. And to Toke Makinwa, there is nothing like male patriarchism. You cannot blame a man for playing a role that was handed over to him by his creator. God said, go ye into the world, multiply, be fruitful and replenish. The man, you will toil and work. The field where women are fighting to step into is the field of toiling and work. Is the field designated for a man from the beginning. The man did not choose that role. God gave him that role. And then to the woman, okay, it was said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And I'm so impressed with your BBC interview. There is something you said in that interview that intrigued me. You said, in quotes, you worked on my heart posture to get me ready for the biggest blessing and the highest calling. There is no calling as great as the calling of childbearing. There is no calling. There is no calling as powerful and empowering to a woman as the calling of raising a family. Most people that are against childbearing and having and multiplying is because they have actually not gone through the process. Even those that have gone through the process, that feel it was not a necessary pain, are those that have somehow been carried away by the stories of people that influence them. Remember, there is something we call inducement. A character, a stand, a decision can be induced by a role model. Most of them have people they copy. You will not understand this, especially when your role model is not God himself. You will not understand this, especially when your role model is not the story of Christianity and the Bible. You won't understand them. If your role model is one of those celebrities, then you need to watch out, because the truth is, most of them are female outwardly in the body of a man that is incapable of carrying this highest calling, that is incapable of bearing the fruits of life. Most of them, you see, cover their maleness in makeup. Inside is empty. They can't bear children. Then they get down to the age of 60 out of the rituals they perform, 70, 80, 90, and they don't have children. And then they give you an illusion of happiness. It's an illusion. Then those are your role model. You are not being modeled because that is how you're convinced. It's not a direct conviction of who you are. It's a conviction out of inducement. Inducement by the idol you follow and believe. Inducement by the stories that are painted on social media. Inducement by what your eyes think it is saying, whereas it's a lie. Toke Makinwa said, getting pregnant is the highest calling of her life. Those are the people that have gone through all manners of relationships. They have posted and they have influenced the lives of young women. There are girls that have woken up and decided to live a flamboyant lifestyle, reshaping their body, restructuring how they look and all those things because they are modeling after Toke Makinwa. And then they get up to the age of 40 without getting children. And there is no turning back. There is no opportunity. And suddenly, boom, your idol is pregnant. You are faced with confusion because at this point, you're asking yourself, but this person was my idol. She was your idol at the point where she was recording and taking note of her problems. Then you felt that her problems, you could fit in. She was telling you how she felt and how she interpreted life at the moment. But I assure you, people change. People get closer and form relationships. People form new relationships and form new bonds. And those new bonds have the potency of transforming their lives. It has the potency of influencing them otherwise than how they were influenced before. It has the potency of changing their point of view. Some people just find Christ. Some people just get a new calling that is as empowering as getting pregnant. That is something they didn't know. So for you that is mad at men, angry at men because you feel they have this level of privileges that you ought to be the one having. Men should equally be mad at you because they cannot be part of the highest calling, which is childbearing. There is nothing as empowering as bearing children. Let me tell you something. The bitterness of most of these people that are promoting this agenda of feminism is out of the lack of choice. Most of them have sold their choices and freedom given to them by God to the devil. And the act of sacrificing themselves of the firstborn son to the God that they worship. Writing these books under those platforms, promoting these ideas under those platforms, looking for people that will join them in this work of shame and humiliation because that is the only work they have. But you that is outside, that has not joined them, you can actually choose a different route. And that should be the route of truth. And that route of truth should be void of rebellion. Rebellion against God, against the principles that God kept for us. There is nothing that God has designated for us from creation that is bad. It has never been. Let me tell you something. Feminists are bitter people. Take it from me or leave it. Feminists are bitter people. Feminists are envious people. If you say you are a feminist, you are an extremist. If you say you have an issue against male patriarchism, there is a man's war and there is a female's war. You have been given the opportunity to dominate in your war. And if you can dominate in your war, let me tell you something, you automatically rule the man's war. Before a man becomes a man, he must pass through the wall of a woman. Before a man is capable of dominating in that wall called a man's wall, they must pass through the rulership of a woman. The men we see in the corporate field today were born out of a woman. They did not just become men. It is high time women come back home and handle their responsibility with due diligence, handling it intentionally. The act of raising children is handed over to a woman with the help of a man. If you raise your children right, there is nothing like a man's world. It remains a woman's world. Because even when the man goes outside there and is controlling and becoming the man, and you call them patriarchs and privileges in that their world, they come back home to you as the woman. And by the time they're stepping into that home, you are the king and you are the queen. Because you raise them right. It has become the man's world because of our desire to fit in the man's shoe. And because we desire so much to fit in the man's shoe, we abandon our responsibility of raising the children that comes from us. A man only learns how to dominate and become controlling and manipulative when the woman that is responsible of raising this man has abandoned her role and is focusing on a career in another place where they ought not to be. You can be it all. You can make it if only you don't rebel against the principles of God. Let me tell you something. Feminists are people that have a history of abuse, history of loneliness, history of failure, history of maybe poverty, history of societal pressure. It depends on which one you allow to sit in you. When they have this history, they just need to get somebody that talks in a manner they feel. And they form this alliance. And they start rebelling. Rebellion that you formulated is not against man. It's not against anybody. It's against God and against yourself. From the moment you determined and decided that you wanted to be a feminist, you directly revolted against God. It was a direct revolution against God. Little wonder you will ask yourself, I am in this field and I'm trying to, but I'm not being recognized as the man in my field. You are just entering into somebody's territory. You don't expect recognition in that territory as the owner of the territory. You may have a career in music, you may have a career in education, you may have a career in law, you may have a career in business, you may have a career in science or whatever it is. Please, it's a man's kingdom. Do not expect to have the same recognition in that kingdom as the owner of the kingdom. It is a man's world. Your own world is at home. Your own world is in childbearing. Your own world is in raising the man that is going outside there to dominate. But if you have decided that, if you have realized that I can raise the man and still go outside there and help the man in the field, wherever it is, know your place. Know that you are a helper, not the owner. When you know your place as the helper, you will have peace. Women are looking for equal representation. You're trying to equalize a representation in a place that is not yours. Let me tell you something. This thing, I'm standing and saying this thing is not because I like it. What I'm saying now is not what I like. It's not how I feel. But how I feel is irrelevant when God's principles are being violated. My point of view and my idea about it all is irrelevant when God has stated that it is a man's world. I may not like the idea that I'm even better than the men I find in the field that is owned by them. But God says that field is owned by them. I may even be better than the men in the field I find myself. I can actually perform far more better than them. Yet, I am not being recognized. It is natural and it is nature. I do not expect recognition more than the owner of the house. I cannot come to your house and expect your household to respect me more than they respect you, the owner of the house. I'm just stepping in. I'm a passerby. Women, know your place, know your role, and handle it with all due diligence. Then you realize that even the role you think you're stepping, you don't even need to. Just be who you are. In the field of medicine, in the field of this, the doctor that is sitting there, being the man that is more recognized than the women, was actually born of a woman. He was raised of a woman. And I assure you, if we can instill the virtue in them, when they get out there, they won't forget their source. Because their source is you, the woman. Their source is you, gifted with the highest calling. And that is the calling of childbearing. So what are we struggling for? What are we fighting for? We have been empowered. Don't hate men. It is not their fault. Don't hate the privileges given to them. It is not their fault. And don't hate yourself, because feminism is self-hate. Feminism is indirectly teaching you that you are not enough. Feminism is telling you that God did not make the right decision when he said you were in charge of childbearing and the man should go outside there and labor. Feminism is a direct revolution against God. And I will not advise you or anybody to be one that leads a revolution against God. Until I see you again, remain blessed. Bye.